Hello, world. This is Talkin Live. We have a special guest here today. Her name is Rachel Bailey, and she's from a family crisis center. She's been doing this a long time, and she's helping a lot of people. She has a special event coming up.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Lamar, on your show. To go through that question, yes, we right now work with 4 counties, Walker, Dade, as you mentioned, Chattooga and Catoosa counties, but we do work statewide also. If we do have people that call us, and if they want to stay within their agency, or shall I say within their state, we work with them and the different domestic violence shelters in those states. Recently, I come from the Midwest, so I come from Montana and Wyoming and Minneapolis, and we work with people out there also, working with them to get women in the domestic violence shelters. And it's not just women, but it's men also.
So you would say that you work with a lot of people all over the United States. It's kind of a national thing, which it is a national thing, the battered women.
Yeah, domestic violence is very much a national thing, and so is, we also have a youth cottage, and so homeless youth and abused youth is also very natural. So yes, we do work within statewide.
And so you're a nonprofit organization. You depend on people that care about battered women and all that. And you that watching this, we're going to give all that information so you can help. She'll take land, she'll take anything and take it and sell it. Yeah, if you got something you want to donate, I'm sure that she would take it and sell it and put it in a nonprofit organization. Is a struggling organization sometimes. So you people watching this, please try your best to help this cause. And
well, just to give you a little bit more, Lamar, about our agency and the 4 counties that we service, we're very rural. We're Northwest Georgia, and so it really makes us hard to service all of the area because it's such a big area and it's rural. So we are not only just a domestic nonviolent shelter, but we also are a youth cottage. And we also have 3 thrift stores that try to help support our nonprofit agency. So with the youth cottage, we work with kids who are ages 13 to 21 with a waiver so that if they age out, they might not have a place to go, but we can still keep them for a while until they're found a place to go. And that's really challenging because, statistically, 1 in 4 women are battered every day, and 1 in 4 men are battered every day. And then the youth statistics is much higher than that. They're either left on the street, or they're left homeless, or their parents give up their rights, or they're a part of the foster care system. And so we rely on our community and even other funders throughout all the different states to help support us. There could be donations, like I mentioned a vision early on with you when we were just talking off the side. I have a vision to try to develop or get a 20-acre property. Less would be fine, to be able to put a newer facility on there, a domestic violence shelter. We can house more women. A youth cottage, we can house more youth. Also, a big gym, things for our youth to be able to keep active rather than getting in trouble or just being on their switches or games all day long. Also would love to see to have a workforce center on that property for our residents and those we serve. Have a nurse practitioner or a doctor and a pharmacy on that property. And then if you come out, we'd love to have a barn and horses. Horses are great therapy for women and youth, especially going through a lot of things. And then out front, before you come through the gate, I would love to see a thrift store or a general store where our residents can work and be able to get back on their feet. So we are looking for donations. I am open to really anything because, as you may know, nationally and statewide, our funding is cut. So we are funded 2 different ways. The domestic violence shelter is funded all through grants and fundraising. That can be very challenging when your funding is cut. I have great staff. I'd like to keep my staff. So retaining them is very important to pay them a livable, marketable wage now. And then the youth cottage is funded through the state. So per bed, per kid is the amount of money that we get. So if we have less kids, we get less money. So to me, I've been doing this business for about 28 years, and I've been in leadership for about 29. Business-wise, it would tell anybody you cannot put your eggs in just one basket. So I'm trying to diversify our funding through private donations, through private grants, through different fundraisers. And so I really appreciative anything. I also mentioned to you we have another vision we're trying to do in October. October is Domestic Violence Month, and I would love to bring in some well-known stars, music stars, to have a music festival that service our 4 counties and any state that wants to be involved and come to Northwest Georgia. But I'd love to bring in Trace Adkins, Diamond Rio, or Josh Turner, just to create more awareness and help within our communities. Statistically, there is a higher number of abuse between domestic partners, the love interest, whether it be a boyfriend. We have to understand our teens too, and letting them know about teen dating violence, about boyfriends and girlfriends, and husbands and wives. So intimate partners is the highest rate of domestic violence. So
I'd have to just say these people are just mean. They don't have nothing to do with the way they're treated all the time.
True. Yeah, they have that bone in their body, as you say.
It's a kind of ill will toward women.
Yeah.
And a man marries a woman, he should treat her as a queen. That's the way I see.
But, it's not just happening to women. Men, they don't talk about it, which is sad, but a lot of men are abused too. As I said, 1 in 4 men. So sometimes women can have that mean streak in them too and not understand if they're married, if they find a good man. You keep that good man too. We partner with a lot of churches and a lot of community organizations, which is very helpful to us. I go and speak at women's groups around our 4 counties. If you ever need someone who's listening, a church, I would love to speak to your women's group. But we do partner with many agencies that are a good asset to our organization. We couldn't continue without their support.
In the United States, there's a lot of suicide. And would you say that's a lot of reason too? An abused family is, and that brings on suicides.
Well, yeah, with suicide, you deal with mental health and you deal with that depression. And so a lot of times feeling unworthy, unwanted. Yes, we see a lot of kids who are depressed and who have tried to commit suicide, what we call cutting on them. And that's really hard for us to see and watch in the youth that we serve. But yes, I agree with you 100%, Lamar. Suicide and mental health is a huge thing. We don't talk about that as much as we should, because through domestic violence, if women or men have been living this for years and it finally comes to a head, all they have known and heard is that. So they're depressed, their mental capacity is not functioning right. So we really do those, and we also help get them counseling. I do have a counselor on staff too. She is part-time also, that can work with our youth and our residents at the domestic violence shelter, but sometimes they need maybe more of what services we can provide, so we help find those resources for them and help them out in the community.
Do you find that your service, counseling and all of this that's going on, and you're trying to correct between the people, do you find that what you're doing is benefiting a lot of people this way?
I always believe that if you can help one, that's what's most important. Lamar, some people are going to take your help and they're going to listen to what you have to say. They're going to want to be on target to getting their life back and their life turned around. And there are some who are just wanting to manipulate the system. And we see that.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you ever teach them, bring the Bible to them and ask them to read it and see if they can take in enough to get peace of mind?
I'm glad you opened that door. I didn't know if we could talk about religion on here, so I'm glad you opened that door. We have been blessed. I'll start with the cottage, where we have had some churches come in and be able to minister to those kids, show them the Bible, teach them the Bible. And we've taken to the church, of their choice. We can't force them to go to church. That's a state thing, but we can present it and they can decide if they have this church or this church. And last year, for me, the glory really goes to God, because last year and even this year, we had so far 6 youth commit their lives to the Lord and were baptized. Now,
Yeah.
God deserves all the glory. I mean, I just get excited inside, because that is, for me, number one. God has me here for a purpose and a mission. I'm not sure how long, but he does. And also with the domestic violence shelter, yes, they are provided Bibles. And so they are allowed to go to church. We can take them to do that. So, yes, they are taught different things through whether they go to Bible study. That's important for me in my reign as the chief executive there at the Family Crisis Center and Youth Cottage. That's part of my mission, is to make sure that people are witnessed to and that they are presented the gospel. We have to be careful with state, funded things, but God always opens the door and works out a way.
Well, there's nothing wrong with saving a life or restoring a life to someone who's so depressed that just don't see there's no hope.
Yeah, and that's part of our mission. Our mission is to restore, rebuild, educate, and advocate. So, as you just said, part of our tagline on some of our promotional materials is called Rebuilding Lives. And that's really what we're there about. Again, some people are going to be open to that, and some people are still so hard that it takes a while for that. But really for me, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and he is the hope. And I've got a great story if I can share it. We had a mother and her son and daughter in the shelter, and she had been there almost about a year. And it used to be that only 90 days they could stay there. Well, to me, in 90 days, when I came in 90 days, it's hard for women or even kids to wrap their head around what just happened. I have no home. I have no transportation. Like, what just happened? And then mental issues, too. So I've extended that, maybe a year or more to get them out of depression or to get them the services they need, help them work on their plan. And so she had been there almost a year. And we worked with her to get her house back, to get a job. Her son graduated from high school. He's going to college. She wanted to go back from what she's been through and saw even at the shelter. She wanted to go back to college and be a counselor. She's back in college. She's almost a counselor. And she is now on our board of directors. I mean, wow, what a great story of transformation and changing in her life. She had a hard time being depressed. She had a lot of different things go on in her life. And she is now on our board of directors. And so we have a board of directors of 11 right now. Would love to see up to 12 to 13. They're all different county members and members of different standings in the community. And so that's really appreciated. We have another story where we had a resident, a young little mother, and she had 5 kids. And she had a very challenging story. But she just sent photos of her kids and how they've grown up. And she has a job. She has a wonderful, she is just flourishing. That's what it's really all about. She said something to me one day, because I'd always try to love the littlest baby, all of them, and just say, hey, Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. And she said to me one day, I can tell that Jesus is in your life because you light up the room, and you can tell that he's important in your life because you show love to others. And so it's not about me, but I just felt, that's what we're supposed to do. We are supposed to show that.
And I think testimony like that's worth a lot.
It is, yeah.
And it maybe changes some, seeing that and hearing that, you ought to write a book or something like that. But, I mean, something like that should be able to lift some up. And when they think there's no hope, they are.
I agree. There is, and that's what we're there for. I've got great staff with the cottage and with the domestic violence shelter. We've made changes. We have worked things out to be more, I call it, victim-centered. That is all about the victim, as they call themselves, or all about the resident or the youth. I really wanted to make it a family type atmosphere in home. Before, it was more institutionalized looking and felt that way, and we really changed that. And I credit the staff to doing that and working with me on that.
Do you, getting back to financing, do you ever get, good donation, or is it real low?
The most time people donate is around Christmas time, December. I got to get rid of that money, got to have that tax write-off, and I'm not making light of that at all. I appreciate that 100%. Throughout the year, we've had some that give a large amount at that particular time, and that could be that foundation or whatever, and we're appreciative of that. But, I would love financially more donations that people really believe in what we're doing so that we can further that cause. We have a lot of other things we need to do, and with state funding cut, it makes it really challenging for us to do that work.
Do you have any federal funding at all?
So I have applied for 2 federal grants, and so I'm waiting to hear back, and they don't tell you until September. But as I mentioned, the domestic violence shelter is funded through grants. So we've got some state grants, and then I applied for a local grant that we just received. That was $40,000, and that was through the Atrium Health Floyd Foundation in Rome, Georgia area. And so they service one of our counties, and so I was so thankful for that. They are a great foundation, and I really appreciate that.
Do you see the federal government putting more money into this program all over the United States?
I don't see that they are doing that, but I wish that they would. I think that we play too many politics with lives that we shouldn't play with. I think we spend too much money on pork belly projects, I'll call it, or research type projects. And, we don't spend enough on either domestic violence, homelessness, especially for our veterans. I'm from a military family, so I'm going to put that shout out. That's a passion of mine. And I get real passionate that the government spends it on things that it shouldn't.
Well, it seems to me like the federal government's always talked about how they would cut down on violence and all that. So I don't see why they shouldn't. But this kind of a thing.
I agree with you 100%, but if we can, I think it's okay that we can put money across seas to certain things that protect us and our borders, but when we're spending more money in so many different areas, but yet not within our own country and our own people and the need of that, I struggle a little bit with that.
Yeah, they got programs that I remember somebody tell me they spend a lot of money to research a bumblebee and say you can't fly. They like to waste that money.
Exactly.
But I think the federal government should, have programs nationally, for people that are struggling and this happens to them, and because they're struggling, like you said earlier, that's the reason a lot of people snap. It's because of financial.
Yeah. I mean, they snap financially because of the stress of that. I mean, we have seen, and I'm sure in your lifetime too, I'm not saying that you're old, but in your lifetime, and even in my lifetime, I'm almost 58 years old, we have seen our financial aspect and what we do and what we have to pay for increase tremendously. Just in the last year, I'm like basic needs. There are a lot of families in our rural counties that cannot provide basic needs. That adds stress to the parents and the family, the father if he's a breadwinner. That adds stress to the kids. And yes, things happen.
Tell me what you what do y'all supply to battered families?
So when they come
children?
When they come into our shelter, they're provided a welcome basket, we call it. All of the household needs, the things that they need, staying there. They're provided all their groceries. If they want something in particular, they have to give us a list, and then we go out and buy that for them. But they're supplied almost everything in there. Then we work with them to get back into applying for a housing assistance, an application for a housing authority, working to find jobs for them, working to find different transitional type housing. I have to say, Lamar, in our 4-county area and within Georgia, I'm really struggling because we cannot find transitional housing. And that's a hard thing. I do not want to put women back out on the streets or send them back to their abuser. And sometimes they're on a waiting list for almost 2 to 3 years to find an apartment or a duplex. That's quite a long time. If they're done with the program or they've gone and gotten back on their feet, where do they go? So that's not what our mission is. And so I really heartfelt struggle with that. Transitional housing, you can apply for grants from the federal government, but there's so much red tape, and then you have to commit so much of your own money into that. We couldn't afford that. So we really need to partner up with people that can help us with that.
It's kind of like calling the doctor and say, "Hey, doc, I feel like I'm dying." Well, you have to wait till next month to get a
Or 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah. But the housing market is ridiculous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And all you rich people, if you're watching me, you're buying up all the houses, you're jacking up the rent for people like this that needs a place to live, cannot afford it, don't draw enough, and you're jacking the prices up so bad just to make $1, and the people suffer. That's my way of thinking.
Well, we look at nationwide. Just watching Los Angeles the other morning on the news, we got so much homelessness.
Yeah.
Now, I think I'm going to run for president or the vice president because there are so many things you can put in place that common sense that we could really change that a lot.
Well, I'm afraid they'd rather give it to somebody else than us.
Lamar.
I just tell it like it is.
Probably, but we won't go there.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's freedom of speech program here.
Yeah, I know.
And let's just say it the way it is.
I mean, if you change the housing parameters or different things or building in areas where you can change part of the homelessness.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, hello. 1 plus 1 makes 2, everyone. Not the funny math. 1 plus 1 still makes 2. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing a lot. Maybe I don't want to get off of the. Since you brought up homelessness,
Yeah.
The people that I've encountered with and talked to in the last month or so, Social Security is sending them a bill and telling them they overpaid them.
Yeah.
Well, that's not their mistake.
Right.
I mean, if you draw $1,000 a month, how are you going to get overpaid if that's what if you get your monthly,
And you talk about that too. When we talk about housing or homelessness too, some of our women who've gone through the program, or maybe it didn't always work for them, or they wanted to not get away from their abuser, they wanted to go back. I see a couple of them in our 2 counties that walk up and down this certain highway because they have no place to go.
Well, see, that's the reason there's more homelessness, because of the price of gas and all that. Of course, you know all that. I don't want to get into all that.
Yeah. And that's hard for us too. We will help women pay for their first month and their last month's rent, utility deposits, some of those things within our funding for our grants. We put that in there. So we do pay. We give them gas vouchers. We've given them bus tickets to go to another state if that's where their family and their support system is at. So every state should have a domestic violence shelter in one of their counties, or it's in a central place and they service 4 or 5 counties like we do. But it is a challenge, not just locally, but nationwide. And I think there are ways that we could make that different. So funding is really important. We have a fundraiser event coming up too, if I could talk about that. So we are going to be having our fun pancake palooza, and we have.
That's what we're going to.
Yes. And we are looking for silent auction items. If anyone would like to give us silent auction items, they can give me a call. The way that you can reach me is 706-375-8400 or 731-439-6591. My staff and myself will be willing to come and pick up that item for you. You don't have to bring it to us. We'll travel around getting those items. And it's come and go as you please. It's at the Walker County Civic Center. They've been great to work with. And it's off of Highway 27. And we will have our signs out there so you can come and go all day long on June 22nd. We also have someone who's partnered with us. He used to be a New York, New Jersey chef. He is very good at cooking. He's been doing it a long time. He's worked in very high-class restaurants, and he partnered with us and offered to cook all of our pancakes, bacon, sausage. We're going to have juice, coffee, milk, and then we're going to have our video that we have done new play throughout that, and we're going to have door prizes. So if you can come, please do stop by, as it says on there.
What date is that?
So June 22nd, Saturday. So almost
this
Saturday, the 22nd. So it's coming fast.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. It goes by fast after we get. But any type of funding, we would greatly appreciate that. We've had some people already help sponsor some things that we can't take care of ourselves. And so it's a good way for you as an organization to get advertising, free advertising. For us, we will put that on our website. So our website is thefamilycrisiscenter.org. It's all one word. Yeah. And if you'd like to take a look at that.
We have Rachel here to do this show to get you people that are watching to get in touch with Rachel and send a donation. Mm-hmm. They're doing a great work. And we appreciate Rachel coming in here, and they're doing a great work. So support this cause, this crisis that's taken the whole land, not just this place where we're at now, but the whole United States and everywhere. Right. This thing happens in families. May God bless for all of you for watching this show.
Thanks for joining us today. To watch this show again, be sure to visit talkinlive.com. We now have Roku and Amazon Fire TV channels for you to watch from your home TV. Or find more of our recent shows on most any of your favorite social media platforms. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Good night, world. We will be talking live with you next time. The views and opinions expressed on all Talkin Live presentations are those of the host and their guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of the Talkin Live TV broadcast studio, or by this channel or its management.
To join the conversation, call 706-935-TALK. We are talking live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on all of your favorite streaming platforms.